Welcome to Tea Time with me, Shaili Chopra. This episode has truly got a legend on the show, Roger Cleveland. That's right, the man who's been behind Cleveland Golf Clubs, also the one who decided to sell the company and then join Callaway by himself. So it's quite a story of Cleveland versus Cleveland because the company is owned in Japan and he's very much the name that everyone reckons with. But more importantly, he's evolved from being just an iron lover to one who loves the wedges. And he's created some good stuff there for Callaway, something we'll talk about to Roger Cleveland and why you should have more than just one or two wedges in your golf set. Let's catch up then on Tea Time with Roger Cleveland. Thank you very much, Roger Cleveland, for being on our show. It's an honor to meet you.
It's a great pleasure.
And I'm sure every Indian who's watching this show actually probably is seeing you for the first time talk on Indian TV.
Well, that's a great pleasure, and I'm excited about that. That's fun.
I want to ask you, before I get into the story of Roger Cleveland, how is it to be part of Callaway and have Cleveland actually be owned by Japan? A Cleveland versus Cleveland story. I've always been fascinated by that.
Well, I did have to change the towels because the C and the C at Callaway, so my wife was very happy with that. It's sometimes a little strange when I see Cleveland on the television. I still am very happy and excited for them when they do well. I still have, when you create something and start something, you still have you still have blood in the company, and I feel like I do, so I care about that. But at one time when I sold it and the gentleman running it wanted me out because we were kind of clashing on where the company was going. And the people here, Dick Helmstetter and Neely Callaway, called me and said, hey, come on down and take a look and see. And that was 15 years ago. So I've been very happy in doing what I love to do, and that's design all over, the wedges as well as irons and wood. So
and technology has evolved so much in the last decade and a half.
Absolutely.
That's true. But Cleveland Golf, I suppose when it was your baby, was it hard to let it go?
Absolutely, yeah. But I went out. I needed to raise money to build infrastructure, to build engineering, to build R&D. That Callaway had such a great one, and I was so impressed by what they were doing. I had to do the same, or try to do the same, and that's what I was trying to do. And so the only way I could do it at the time was to sell the company. And I thought I sold it to a good group called Rossignol, and they were. But they brought in a guy that thought he knew everything and actually didn't.
I'm sure he's changed his mind since the time he got on to Callaway.
Well, he didn't last very much longer.
Yes, indeed true. But let's talk about the present times, which seem to be the good times for you as well. You're the authority on wedges across the world. Tell us a little bit about why does it take for people to be a little too confused about how many wedges they should have, which angles they should pick up, and what's ideal in a set which is a basic set, for example.
Well, the game is not easy. It takes a lot of individual effort and a lot of practice. But one of the areas that you can improve your game so easily and so quickly, it's hard to gain 20 yards on your drive. But you can really gain proficiency in your wedge if you take some lessons and get the right technique. You don't have to be very strong to have to be good around the greens, but you have to have the right technique. So lessons are very key, and the right equipment.
Do you think that playing this particular shot is a little more complicated, largely, one, because it's a short game, and secondly, that people who use irons tend to be very forceful with it, and this is exactly the opposite.
That's right. You have to, it's quite complicated because you have to read, when you're hitting a full shot, you don't read the type of, you have to read the lie and so forth and gauge your expectations. But around the greens, you have to, in the rough and so forth, you have to gauge and read the shot and determine which type of shot you want to hit to gain the result that you want based upon the lie and so forth. So it's quite complicated. And the way technology has gone and manufacturers across the board, we have gone stronger with the lofts of our irons. We're able to hit our irons higher which is terrific, and it keeps the ball in the air for distance.
Right.
And so we have been able to strengthen the lofts. Okay, so that creates a bigger gap at the short end. So what do? So we really need to create more options for wedges. Okay, and what I like to see, if you're a strong player, you can go to a lob wedge, which is actually to 60 degrees. That's what most of the tour players use. But if you're strong, if you're not so strong, 60 is too much loft. Okay, and even if you're older and getting older, what you want to do is set the limit like at 56. So what you do...
And start where? If the limit is 56, start at 52?
No, what you do is you take your pitching wedge, okay, you take that loft, and then you take 56, for example, and the pitching wedge is, let's say, 46 degrees now. Yeah. So that's a 10 degree differential.
That's right.
And so
it's a good range.
you want three wedges. You take your pitching wedge, your 56, and get one in between. Okay, so it's 5 degrees, and so you put one in between. Or if you want 4 wedges, some pros, if you want to tighten your gap between the wedges, then you take 4 and divide it by 3.
Right. So pros obviously need a large number of them. They want the variety. But do you think that's a good idea even for the beginners? To get used to the idea that you
should definitely have 3 wedges.
Wow.
For sure, because the bunkers and the designs today, the modern designs, the lips and are very high, and so you need a little bit more loft than the traditional. But your strength also. So if you're not so strong, 56. If you're stronger, you can go to 60 or 58. Now, up in Japan, they like 58 as their kind of their norm, their standard. Over here in this country, they tend to be a little bit bigger and stronger. They want 60, Europe 60, that sort of thing. But it depends upon, like Jeev Mikasing, he uses 60. Yes. Okay, but he's a strong lad.
Strong man. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But don't be, I mean, it's really also how far you can hit the full shot. So that determines. But that's how to do it. 3 is about what you want to look at. I'd love to have you have 5 wedges.
Yeah, I guess that.
But Phil uses 4. Phil Mickelson uses 4 wedges, for example.
Though doesn't he have a 64?
64, absolutely. And he uses it a lot. But we offer a 64. But you really have to practice that, because 64 is a lot of loft.
That's true, yeah. Maybe we can get a sense from you about how best to use some of the wedges that you design.
Sure,
yeah,
absolutely.
Let's try and get an idea.
Because I think that's a real misunderstanding on how to hit some wedges.
Yes.
Because it's a different swing than your normal swing.
Yes. And does that evolve with every kind of club on the wedges list?
No, on the wedge list, it's more... When you get down to anywhere from 52, anywhere from the pitching wedge to this, it's the same type of technique.
Okay.
And your loft determines how far you hit it. A normal little pitch shot around the green and your full swing. Most people come up and they have a little shot, let's say, to this pin here, and they try and take a normal swing, which is wider stance, and your arms go back so. On a short shot, you want to rotate your arms very quickly so the club head gets in that orientation, and then I'm going to come down and just turn, okay? My knees turn and my hips turn. My body doesn't turn with it, my upper body, it stays neutral. So here, I'm going to, here.
We are using 2 different clubs. And no?
Yes, they're both,
right? Yeah, this is a 60.
Well, the other one was a 60 as well. We have many different clubs.
Yes. Can you share a little bit about the technology as to how it's changed in the last few years? And because I believe some of these are going to be really the key products of 2012.
Yes. Let me go and get my other wedge. We have a couple different. One of the things that we like to have different options. Because when you have soft sand, when the sand is soft, you need more bounce.
Right.
Otherwise, you'll dig. If you have hard, firm sand or firm conditions, grass around the greens, you need less bounce because you need to get down to the ball. And so we have different options. We have different. This is a wedge that we had last year. We still have it in the line, and it has more bounce. Our new wedge has a little bit less bounce for firmer conditions.
Right.
That's what you need to look at as well, especially in your 58 or 58 and 60.
Sure. When you sort of design clubs, do you keep a certain sort of like a checklist in mind? In particular, because some of the grooves that we hear about are very signature Roger Cleveland.
Well, at Callaway, we took they had a groove change about 2 years ago, the USG and the RNA, where they wanted to reduce spin for the pros.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the amateurs have to reduce spin too.
Yes.
And it's hard enough, but now we have to do it. So what we did is we came out with more grooves. We have 21 grooves versus 15, which is on a typical wedge.
Right.
So the more edges we catch the ball, the more spin.
Oh, interesting.
So that's why we have on our wedges, in our Forge product, more grooves.
Right. And of course, I was going to come to the fact that now we have these, these copper finish.
Well, this is just a finish.
Yes, but
Yeah.
it does add to the player's pleasure, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But it's going to wear, and it's going to wear through, and it actually wears into a very interesting, neat pattern, as you can see here.
Giving you a double color.
Yes, a double color, and a kind of a neat, cool look.
Yeah. People are very superstitious about putters and wedges, right? If something gets lucky for them, they want to stick to it, even if it wears out, it's fashionable.
Well, out on tour, people can change their irons, but they hardly ever change their putters and wedges. And once you get a wedge that really likes you, you duplicate it all the time because you
tend to have a conversation with it and then keep up the game, probably win.
Absolutely. You hit a shot very memorable shot in a tough condition, and that you have a long memory for that. As
a global market for golf, there have been some ups and downs lately, right? In terms of people's interest in the game, the crisis that the game has been through, both in terms of player changes and certainly in terms of money, funding. In many ways. Has this got the game out for the better? Have we come out better, stronger?
Well, the game will last. The game is really fun. You get great satisfaction and personal satisfaction because it's an individual game. And it doesn't take one body style. There's short people, thin people, tall people. So from that standpoint, there's no perfect build, okay? And you can see on the tour there's, all kinds of different body shapes out there, little chubby ones like me to thin ones, guys and girls, short and tall.
You're also a golf historian, right? In many ways, for somebody who's seen enough happen in the game and been interacting with a large number of players, if you were to pick up one or two things that you think had the biggest impact on the game, what would they be?
The biggest impact on the game? Well, the metalwood. Had the big, because I entered the game making persimmon woods, and that was really fun to do, and it was an art. But once the metalwood got in, and we started taking it from stainless steel to titanium, and then started working with multi-materials, and started learning about the mass properties and where to locate the mass in CG to affect flight, okay? And to keep the ball in the air with the proper amount of spin and the launch conditions. It's very scientific.
Yes.
And then the golf ball, I mean, we make golf balls that we make a 5-piece golf ball that has a perfect spin off a driver and increased spin off a wedge, if you can imagine that. So it's amazing science.
And that's something that's obviously been a game-changing move for the game.
But the one thing that I think the amateur golfer is really going to benefit is all the fitting that we're doing now. We have a driver that's coming out, the razor fit
adjustable one.
Yeah. We can, and it's simple. We have 6 different settings, 3 on the hosel and 2 in the weights, and it really moves the ball around, and it's very cool.
I know it's certainly very cool, but I would want to know, given that people who rule golf are the ones who are a bit of a traditionalist category of people. How are they taking to stuff like adjustable drivers? I saw belly putters that are almost, digging into your chest. They are really tall ones.
Well, they're tummy putters. They hinge right in the tummy.
Yeah.
Well, we're trying to be as nice as we can to the ruling body.
To nudge and see
to nudge them along, but so far they've been. No, they do a great job in controlling you know, the game and making it uniform and making it consistent, and they do a good job. We battle with them because we were always pushing, and that's kind of our job to do that.
That is true, yeah.
But they have confined us pretty well right now. You're trying to hit a short shot,
yeah.
So you're taking a big swing and stopping. That's decelerating. That's not good. What you want to do is shorten here. That's why I'm saying leave your arms in front of you and finish. There. Very nice.
How many people do you think on the Pro Tour have a good swing? I mean, which ones would sort of excite you when you look at that? Tough one.
If you're on the Pro Tour, period, you have a great swing.
Yeah.
I mean, to get to that level, you know, of ability, definitely. Now, there are different levels on the tour.
Yes.
And of proficiency. And the guys that always are there, you're the top 10 and the top 20 players, they're incredible. And they're at a different level. Their skill, their power, their confidence.
Let me tweak my question and ask you, who do you think does the most justice to the wedges that Roger Cleveland designed?
Phil Mickelson.
Yeah?
Yeah. He's probably the most creative person I've ever been with a wedge. Yeah, and I've been with a lot of them. You know, I mean, we have great wedge players. I mean, Ernie Els is incredible.
Yes.
But Phil does some things with some shots. So I would say Phil. But there's been some people in the past. You know, I mean, Lee Trevino was incredible. I still love. I will stop on a senior tour when he is out there. I will stop and just watch him. You know. But there are certain swings out there that are just wonderful rhythmical swings. I love that. Yeah. You know, like a David Toms when he's on tour. I mean, he's not with our staff. I wish he was, but I love watching his rhythm. You know. Yeah. I mean, Jeev Mika has a unique swing, a little different swing, but he right down at the ball, he's incredible. Yeah. You know, I love his swing.
Yeah, it's sort of individualistic.
Yeah.
The young blood in golf impressing you, surprising you a bit?
Oh, Roy McIlroy, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the young kids are amazing, and they have no respect for their elders. These guys.
Okay, certainly. When it comes to the game of golf, I guess.
No. I mean, what I'm saying is they just go right after it right away.
Absolutely. Yes. No. Yes. Very much so. What do you think is left for you to achieve in golf? Have you thought about that? Perhaps reading the newspaper in the morning and wondering, what am I doing next? What do I want to do? Well,
we're working on that. That's why I was a little late to be here. I was working on the next generation iron for Asia, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's pretty exciting. We have a big platform with a lot of different products, and so we're constantly tweaking and learning. And we have a research department. We have the biggest spend in golf at Callaway. And that's what attracted me here, you know, with Mr. Helmstetter and Mr. Callaway. And they have such a commitment to learning. And we constantly are learning, and you know, we got to put the pencil down to put the product in the market. But that pencil comes back up, you know.
To try something new.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when do we expect this product that's meant for Asia to start taking some shape?
Well, this product we just finished will be in the end of 13.
Wow. So by that time, hopefully the Asian market should be a little more mature than where it is.
Well, it's doing nicely. Yeah. And I look forward to coming to India and looking at some of those beautiful courses you have.
Indeed. And it would be our pleasure to have you there. Just one question about Olympics and golf.
Yeah.
Because if you're launching this, by that time, it would be another 2 years before people could pick it, test it, use it.
Well, but we have irons specifically for Asia right now.
Yes.
It's in the Legacy line, and this is another addition to the Legacy line. So.
Does it come back into Olympics? Do you think that's an exciting thing?
Oh, it's fabulous for China, for your country, for India. It's wonderful to get that kind of support and some money come into golf, and to get the grassroots program, because there's young, 10-year-olds out there. They're going to be stars.
That's true.
And they're there.
Them now.
You got to believe in them and make a few little clubs for them and give a program where they can nurture them along a little bit. And that's what the European countries have done so well, and that's why they have the stars that they have, the Swedens and England and so forth.
That's right. Start early.
Start early.
You can play longer, I guess.
Well, it's a game that you can play all your life, and it's a social game where you go along with 3 of your friends, and it's great fun.
Yes. Thanks very much, sir. It's been such a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure for me. Thank you very much.